American. It's a true case of David and Goliath here. It's unbelievable, the condition of both men, but the Russian champion.
I must break you.
Oh, Ivan Dragowa.
You know what I says back there about wanna be you? Yeah. Forget it. Like what?
You know, one of these days, I'm going to hike over top of that with some flip-flops and figure out where that trail goes. But not today. Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. February 17th, 2025. Let's get into it. So I wanted that front clip. I wanted it there because we must break them. We must break the Democrats and the RINOs. You know, the good news is McConnell, I think, last I heard, he's been in and out of a wheelchair. Maybe, just maybe, we can get him out before because he's, you know, he is retiring if he makes it. So maybe we can get him out sooner for health reasons. I don't wish the guy ill, but I tell you what, he's been a major blockage to the Republican Party. I mean, I think that he solely, him and Ronna Romney, you know, when she was heading up the Republican Party, that he's responsible for Carrie Lake not getting elected. And he sabotaged the campaigns of Lee Zeldin up in New York. So Mitch McConnell has been plotting against the Republicans for quite some time. It's amazing that the state that elects Rand Paul puts McConnell in there. What the hell is wrong with these people in Kentucky, right? Anyway, let's get into the video. So I wanted to pick up where I left off on the last video was, you know, because right now, I mean, how many times are you seeing the reporters going, why are chickens and eggs so expensive, Donald Trump? And, you know, Donald's response is, look, man, I've only been here 3 weeks. 3 weeks. But I'm surprised he didn't answer the question. Maybe he doesn't know that the Democrats killed all the chickens. And anyway, so I got a quick 1-minute video here that addresses that right now so that you know that when you can't buy eggs, there's no eggs on the shelf, the Democrats did this on purpose. They want you to starve. They hate the American people, man. The Biden administration is coming out to be probably the most corrupt government in the history of the world, I think. I mean, I can't even point back, you know, who was that Queen of England that was bathing in people's blood and stuff like that? I don't remember. But I dare say Biden's worse than she was. You know, oh my God, it's just the things that keep coming out. So anyway, let's watch that video.
The Biden plan was to just, you know, kill chickens. And they spent billions of dollars just randomly killing chickens within a perimeter where they found a sick chicken. And so you go, I just went to the grocery store. I shopped it for our family in part because I love to look at prices. And there were no eggs at the store yesterday, just a few. And so that happened because they killed all the chickens. And so what we need to do is have better ways with biosecurity and medication and so on to make sure that the perimeter doesn't have to kill the chickens. We have a better, smarter perimeter. And so having a smart perimeter is what we're working on. And we're finalizing the ideas about how to do that with the best scientists in government. And that's the kind of thing that should have happened a year ago. And if it had, then egg prices would be, you know, a lot better than they are now. But the avian flu is a real thing. And by the way, it's spread mostly by ducks and geese. And so think about it. They're killing chickens to stop the spread, but chickens don't really fly. The spread is happening from the geese and the ducks. And so why does it make any sense to have a big perimeter of dead chickens when it's the ducks and the geese that are spreading it?
All right, so that was that video. So then this was reported by the gay Republican. And he says that RFK Jr. is reportedly planning to remove high fructose corn syrup from you know, pop, or I would hope from everything. You know, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, if you did not know that. I've had lymphoma, B-cell twice. In fact, I'm not even supposed to be alive. I only had a 40% chance of surviving the second round, but somehow I'm still here. And I asked the doctor, you know, because doctors are great at treating you, but they're not good at giving you advice on how to avoid the treatment, right? So, you know, ask a doctor about nutrition. They don't seem to know anything. So I asked this one doctor, you know, and I said, look, what should I do to avoid, you know, because third time I'm dead if cancer ever comes back. I said, what should I do? You know, I said, to avoid it. He says, take anything with high fructose corn syrup and throw it in the garbage. That was his main advice. And he said, and the other thing is exercise an hour every day. He says, whether it just be walking or jogging or what. Of course, I can't jog now. But anyway, so those were the 2 tips that he gave me. Very simple. And you wouldn't believe it. I went home that day and I went through my cabinet and sorry, it's a little bit cold, so the nose is kind of running just a little bit. But anyway, so I went home that day and I couldn't believe what I found. I mean, I threw out so much stuff. I mean, all the canned food had high fructose corn syrup. You know, and if he does do it, that would mean, because I haven't been able to drink a pop for a long time. For a while there, they had Dr. Pepper with sugar. See, I can drink sugar. Sugar's a complex molecule that your body actually has to process. Not in huge quantities, you don't want sugar, and that's why I don't put sugar in my coffee, for example, you know. But if I could have a pop with just sugar, that'd be great. I can have an occasional pop, but I can't have it with the high fructose corn syrup, and that's what's in all your pop. Extremely bad for you. The other one that there was a video, I'm not going to show it to you, but it was RFK says that he wants to ban the pharmaceutical industry from advertising on TV. And I'm all for that. Are you for that? He said that every country in the world does not allow advertising from pharmacies except New Zealand and the United States. So but you know, and the reason for that is, I mean, that's why the big pharma owns the media, or the legacy media. I prefer to call it now. It used to be the mainstream media. Good God, I can't wait for CNN and MSDNC and CBS to just go away. But speaking of CBS, this was an insane interview. There was maybe I'll show you that video in the next video. But anyway, it was she was over in Germany, and she was talking to them about, you know, their hatred of the First Amendment, of free speech. And so she was interviewing these 2 guys, and it was satanic, man. They said, yeah, you know, if we judge a post online, or, you know, if somebody liked a post, or even, you know, just put a like on a comment, and they judge it as hate speech, they'll come in and they will take away your phone and you get a big fine. And the second violation, you actually go to jail. But the problem, the satanic part about it was the 2 Germans that she was interviewing were laughing about it. They thought it was funny that they get to take people's phones away. Can you imagine? I mean, my God, I'd be in jail, 100 times in Germany for sure, wouldn't I? Oh my God. All right, so let's get into the video. So this was a interesting one. I just saw this on the Military Summary channel, and they were talking about the Zelenskyy. Now, you remember when everybody had all the Ukraine flags and they were waving them around, and on X or Twitter, they were all putting the Ukraine flag up on their profiles and all that shit. And I kept telling you that no, Ukraine is corrupt. They're evil. They're evil people, you know, and of course the mainstream media, and, you know, Zelenskyy came over and got the standing ovation in front of Congress. That was the most humiliating moment of my lifetime. Anyway, but so this is the Military Summary, because the Hill just called him the Mad King of Kiev. Oh my God. So I'm gonna let you show you this video from the Military Summary channel. So now the media is coming around to call him Zelenskyy. I mean, the golden child. I love it on Alex on the Duran. He calls him the Green Goblin. I don't know. It's got a good sense of humor. But let's watch that video right now.
Completely different picture. For example, today The Hill published a very interesting article, The Mad King of Kiev, Why Zelenskyy Can't Afford to End the War. The Mad King of Kiev, the Mad King of Kiev. And they were talking obviously not about Putin or Donald Trump, they were talking about Zelenskyy. Zelenskyy is desperate to continue the conflict in Ukraine to stay in power. If the conflict ends, so does his presidency. If there were elections, he would lose. Ukraine cannot win it in any meaningful sense, writes the American publication The Hill. The publication emphasized that Zelenskyy chose the path of those blinded by power, and therefore Ukraine will suffer until the very end. This is something like a pathological form of egoism when self-preservation is achieved at any cost, the author of publication stated. This is the situation and this is the reality we're living in. Just 3 years passed since the beginning of the special military operation, and from the savior you can become the Mad King of Kiev.
All right, so that was the military summary channel. And anyway, so we'll just start going through all these. And we're finding just more and more the Biden administration. I mean, you know what, the Democrats, if they want to die on this hill of fighting DOGE, who's just trying to save you and me and save the country, by eliminating fraud and government waste, if they want to just be for that, I don't see how, if anybody, I mean, I understand Democrats they're just the Borg, the shit, they could do anything and they'll vote Democrat. But I mean, there are a lot of independents, and I can't believe that the independents aren't looking at the Democrats going, hey, wait a minute. I mean, I want DOGE to save Social Security. I want them to save Medicare. I want these cuts or finding all this fraud and this waste. I want it eliminated. So I would imagine that more and more independents should be coming around to understanding who the Democrat Party really is. So anyway, let's just read you some of these. The DOE, Department of Energy, has canceled 10 contracts with regional educational laboratories totaling $336 million and a further $33 million of grants to equity assistance centers. Unbelievable. Let's keep going. So this was just a post I found interesting. So, and this is where Democrats are so stupid, man. They're dumber than bags of rocks, man. If you got Democrat friends, why don't you ask them this question? Barack Obama's annual salary as president, $400,000. His net worth before office, before he became president, was $1.5 million, which I would question where that $1.5 million came from, because he was just an aid worker in Chicago. Working probably for NGOs, I would imagine. But anyway, so his net worth now, $135 million. Ask a Democrat, say, hey, where do you think Barack Obama got $135 million? Where did Nancy Pelosi get, how did she get to be worth $600 million or whatever she's worth? How did Mitch McConnell get rich, if we want to go on the Republican side? How are all these congressmen worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, right? Ask a Democrat that. Oh, I don't know. I'm just a stupid, meat puppet because I'm a Democrat. Oh, man. All right. So this is, so people have been asking, where did all these judges come from that are trying to stop Trump and Elon from doing their job? Okay. And so finally, Insurrection, I think, this was Insurrection Barbie again. I believe this was her post. And so she broke it down, and I thought really did it well. So this will kind of explain to you how all these activist judges got into office. How Biden transformed the federal courts. He made sure to focus on the most radical activists ever admitted to the bar, most of which were recommended by the Alliance for Justice. Alliance for Justice is founded by a hard left billionaires and the George Soros Open Society Foundation. Anything with Soros, that's corrupt as hell, man. Oh my God, if that guy ain't the evil emperor from Star Wars, I mean, he even looks like Palpatine. All right, so let's keep going. Let's see. Billionaire, George. The most notable aspect of the organization is the Judicial Selection Project, which tracks potential judicial nominees. The project helps disseminate damaging information about conservative judicial nominees. It's called Build the Bench, and it launched in 2019. Since it was launched, its goal was to have a slate of activist judges ready to be appointed to the bench. When Biden won, Alliance for Justice began campaigning and lobbying him to fill judicial vacancies with liberal judges. Its goal was to take advantage of the Democrat control of the Senate by appointing as many liberal judges as possible. Biden made sure to appoint as many judges as possible whose only experience is the advocacy for far left-leaning groups. So there you go. So now you know why there's like 800 judges that are filing suit against Trump, which, by the way, it's all going to get overturned. I'm hoping it'll get up to the Supreme Court just as quick as it can, because a judge can't tell the executive branch, the judicial branch can't tell the executive branch how to run its departments. That's the role of the president. That's the role of the executive branch. So these are, they're advocating. A judge's job is to try crimes and pass, and manage a jury and that type of thing. They're not there to set policy for the executive branch of the government. All right, so anyway, that explains that. This was another one. The DOE has canceled 10 contracts, Department of Energy, with regional education laboratories, totaling $336 million, a further $33 million grants to equity assistance. And I think I already read that one. I must have put it in my notes twice. Breaking: DOGE discovers USAID security funnels $4 billion to the Bill Gates plus another $800 million to the World Health Organization, and also received over $700 million. Tune in now for the latest updates. So I think that was Alex Jones. I tell you, he's all over X right now. He's doing a good job. I mean, a lot of the stuff he's reporting on is very, very informative. If you don't like Alex Jones, you're missing out on a lot of news. I don't know how in the world. He's a smart dude, man. And he keeps his thumb on the pulse of what's going on. Anyway, so let's just keep going. So there's a square profile picture, and I didn't put in my notes what the hell it is. But hopefully you're looking at it right now. I put it in my notes. Anyway, Adam Schiff. So I just wanted to read this to you. Shifty Schiff, right? That's what we have to call him. Anyway, so he's going on. I mean, anybody that's squealing like a stuck pig, that they've been getting the kickbacks. And Schiff is squealing, squeal, Shifty Schiff, squeal. So anyway, it says Elon Musk is trying to access your personal bank and tax data. The world's richest man should not and cannot be able to snoop around your personal finances, period, end of story. And he's been putting a lot of posts up like that, trying to scare. I guess he figures he's going to scare Democrats will fall for it. I mean, they'll believe that, like Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, is worried about, your private information, and plus, like I said in the past, your private information is available everywhere on the internet. The NSA's got your private information, your internet service provider, Google has your private information, the data brokers have your private information, the dark web has your private information. So having Elon Musk look at your private information, even if he is, I wouldn't be too worried about that if I were you. That's how stupid. But the Democrats will fall for that shit, for sure. The Gateway Pundit: Musk's DOGE team uncovers another over 25 million people's ages 100 plus in the Social Security database, some older than the Constitution. There are a lot of vampires in Social Security. Can you imagine? And Democrats are for this, man. Democrats, they're fighting Elon Musk and they're fighting Trump, who are finding all of this stuff. And that what they're telling you is they're for all this fraud. Look at that number. What is it? Let me read that to you again. I was blown away. People ages 100 and plus in the database. Over 25 million people over 100 years old are in the Social Security database. Can you believe that shit? Ah, my God. No wonder when, our kids, this is the thing, Democrats always paste themselves as the party. Oh, Trump's going to take away your Social Security. The Democrats are the ones defrauding Social Security. They're for the fraud in Social Security. Next time you get with a Democrat, say, look, Trump is trying to save Social Security, not take it away. You dumb, stupid Democrat. This is the stuff that they're finding. Now, I'm going to put up in a minute, I'm going to put up the chart that Elon Musk put out. So this is not hyperbole. And I thought this was a good post. And because I was thinking, you know, this guy's right on the money. This is so true. If Kamala were president, Trump would be in jail, Elon would be in court, X would be Twitter, and many of you would be banned. Zuck and Bezos would be dutifully working for the regime, borders would be open, kids would be learning pronouns and getting transgender surgeries. I'll add to that. That's what you would have had if Kamala gotten it. I mean, the country would have been gone. I mean, you know, but we're still going to go. I mean, oh, by the way, that's a big thing. A lot of people now, and I'm kind of glad that they're getting on it, was they're trying to say that we need to get into Fort Knox and take a look. And there's people saying, I don't know where they're getting the facts from or where they're getting their information, but they're saying Biden stole a lot of the gold. So they want to get in there and audit Fort Knox to see how much the Biden administration stole of our gold, or if there's any gold in there at all. You know, so far, the three I've seen is Elon Musk called for it, Glenn Beck called for it. Of course, Rand Paul, he's been calling for that for years. He's been whistling that tune. Tom Massey, I think he's another one that was calling for us to get in there and look at the gold. So you can see there's a lot of people that are saying we need to get into Fort Knox. And I don't know what the problem is. I mean, it seems to me that Trump could just say, yeah, go take a look. Right? I mean, he's in charge of the military. The military is, you know, Fort Knox, I assume that it's guarded by the military. So why can't he just say, hey, you know, go ahead and open the door. Let's let Elon and his, you know, maybe some of his DOGE team in there. Definitely be, you know, have Rand Paul go along, you know, and they bring some cameras in there with them, you know. Doesn't hurt to film some of the gold. Anyway, so that was interesting. Now this was a interesting post. We're just going to keep going with all the stuff. U.S. aid spent $20 million on Alan Simsim, a Middle Eastern Sesame Street spinoff. Let's watch. Look at this. $20 million for this video. Watch this video right now.
الحمد لله. تعال وصلنا. هذه هي المهملات. لو سمحت انقلها وارميها في المكان المخصص. يلا. نظفت بيت اليوم.
Dum 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 dum. Dum dum dum. Huh? Kake? Ha. Kake? Ha. بسمع جاد إلمو أميرة انتو كتير صغار.
انت عم تاخد اشياء لا الحلوة.
Is that insane? Was that insane or what? I mean, $20 million for that damn video in Arabic. Oh my God, sorry I had to torture you with that, but I was like, man, people got to see this. You know, if they don't think, and the Democrats are for it, man. They're for this stuff. If you know a Democrat, man, just can't you point out one of these things to them? Oh my God. So anyway, these are, you probably already know, but I just thought I'd hammer on these one last time because this was on Mario Nafal. If you don't know, he's big on X. He runs a lot of conferences or you know, X, what do they call them? X chats. And I don't know how he gets, he must have a department that works for him or something because he reports on a lot of news and I learn a lot from him. But let's read some of these to you. Well, actually, let's get first Tom Cotton. Now, if you didn't know, Tom Cotton is a warmongering, corrupt RINO. All right? A lot of people like him. I can't stand the guy myself. And so finally, there's a little bit of dirt coming out on Tom Cotton. Let's read this. Senator Cotton tied to anti-Trump NGO getting millions from USAID. Well, USAID's all over the place, aren't they? Senator Cotton sits on the board of International Republican Institute, which reportedly received $130 million in taxpayer money last year, much of it from U.S. aid. The group actively works against Trump's policies while funding UN refugee programs. The sun's in my eyes, spent $12 million on travel and $14 million on benefits last year. They even provide housing allowances according to their tax forms. Now Cotton's blocking Trump's DOD pick. Funny how that works. Source, Data Republican. So that's who Tom Cotton is. You know, of course, I guess, you know, we got to give Mitch McConnell the #1 corrupt freaking lunatic at the worst RINO of them all is Mitch McConnell. Tom Cotton's a close second right there. So anyway, let's go through some of these USAID entries here. Biden's State Department sent $70,000 to fund a diversity, equity, and inclusion musical in Ireland. Apparently, pushing woke ideology overseas was a priority. The grant was meant to promote shared U.S.-Irish values through a live theater performance. Meanwhile, Americans were dealing with the record inflation and skyrocketing costs at home. Why was the U.S. ever paying for a DEI musical in Ireland to begin with? Good question. And see, that's why I wanted to read these to you, because you'll hear it on the radio. A musical in Ireland. Well, this gives you all the details behind it. You know, so that's why I found this post so interesting. It's actually a thread up on X. 7.9 million gender training for Sri Lankan journalists. USA defenders claim that the media empowerment for a democratic Sri Lanka program wasn't just about gender ideology. But here's what we do know. U.S. taxpayers funded $7.9 million project that included training journalists to avoid binary gendered language. The program also bankrolled media workshops, digital grants, and newsroom upgrades because apparently Sri Lanka's press was a U.S. taxpayer priority. See what I'm going with? Democrats are for this, man. They're actually for this. It's crazy. In fact, I was seeing a video that they're protesting up on Capitol Hill right now, DOGE, for exposing all the fraud. Only a Democrat would protest saving Social Security and fraud at Capitol Hill. At least when January 6th, we were just protesting a stolen election. You know, I mean, my God, Democrats are for this. I can't say that enough. $7.8K to a terror-linked charity. USAID knew it was helping Hand for Relief and Development, a Michigan-based nonprofit, has ties to terrorist groups. Its own watchdog launched an investigation. And what did Biden do? Sent them another $78,000 in taxpayer money. Helping Hand for Relief Development has been flagged with links to Pakistani terror networks, including Lashkar-e-Taiba's funding arm. Lawmakers warned USAID about it in 2023. Instead of coveting funding, they doubled down, man. They sent them even more money. And Democrats are for this. They're for this, man. Oh, man. Let's just keep going. Let's keep going. Oh, this is going to be a long video. I'm sorry. $2 million to fund sex changes in Guatemala. USAID handed $2 million to the association Lambda, a Guatemalan activist group, to promote transgender surgeries and hormone treatments, all with U.S. taxpayer money. The grant also funds LGBT activism and political advocacy. The program helps trans-led organizations provide medical procedures like mastectomies. Man, I can't even pronounce these words. I'm just going to put them up. They sound bad. Let's just put it that way. But let's skip past that. Some of which are irreversible. Lambda also works to influence elections and push gender ideology in Guatemala. Just reading all this is getting me tired, man. The Democrats are for this. Democrats are for this. Oh, man, let's just keep going. USAID helped fund Taliban drug profits. Irrigation projects, farm equipment, and fertilizer paid for by taxpayer helped poppy fields thrive. For years, American taxpayer money has unintentionally fueled Afghans' booming opium trade. U.S. funded irrigation farm equipment cultivated explode directly benefiting the Taliban. Despite $88 billion spent on counter narcotics, Afghan remains the world's top opium producer. The drug trade funds 60% of Taliban's operations, while U.S. airstrikes, sorry, I'm losing my place here. U.S. airstrikes now target heroin labs instead of crops. Source, White House, and Breitbart. Unbelievable. And look, also remember the Biden administration gave them, what was it, $85 billion in military equipment to the Taliban? Just gave it to them, man. And Democrats are all happy about that. Oh, we love giving, a lot of those weapons have ended up in Mexico. So also a lot of the weapons that we sent to Ukraine are in Mexico. So if we go to war with the cartels, it's going to be a bloodbath on both sides. They got the same weapons that, well, they got all our weapons. The Biden administration gave it to them, man. This is how corrupt the Biden administration was. They gave them, they knew was sending these weapons to Ukraine, that Ukraine was taking them and selling them on the black market. And that a lot of them were ended up in Mexico. They wanted this, they wanted the United States to die. They wanted you to die. They wanted to poison you. They wanted to get fentanyl, as much fentanyl in the country as they could. They brought in terrorists into the country. They brought in pedophiles from all over the world and paid for it with your taxpayer money. And Democrats are for this. Democrats are for it, man. God. Woo, all right, let's keep going. All right. USA gave millions to the Wuhan lab partner and did it to fund COVID-19. EcoHealth Alliance, and we all know about this, but I mean, I'm just going to reiterate it to you. The group that funneled U.S. taxpayer dollars to the Wuhan lab got another $4.67 million from USAID, even after being caught violating grant terms and hiding data. Led by Peter Daszak, EcoHealth helped fund bat virus research in Wuhan, where COVID-19 did originate. Instead of cutting ties, the Biden administration handed over more taxpayer cash for vague conservation work in Liberia. And Democrats are for this, man! Democrats are for this! It's unbelievable! I'd keep saying that. Let's keep going. $1.5 million for LGBTQ job programs in Siberia. Biden's USAID handed $1.5 million to a Siberian activist group to promote LGBTQ employment programs and workplace DEI training. The grant aimed to expand opportunities for LGBTQ entrepreneurs and reduce workplace discrimination. Meanwhile, Americans were facing record inflation and job losses at home. The source, the White House, DOGE, and Elon Musk. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I almost can't get all through all of this. Let's see. Well, finally we got through all of that. All right, let's get into some other news here. So this was Insurrection Barbie. And you know what? This was a good post. I just thought this is a good way to look at it. You own a store. By the way, you're looking at the graphic up above. It's just a picture. But I thought this, you own a store. Your store gets robbed. Elon looks at the video footage and the robbery and tells you who did it. Now you want to arrest Elon. You're an idiot. No, you're a Democrat. Well, I guess the two are synonymous. That's what we know right there. This was a good video, and I wanted to talk about, if you didn't know, Marco Rubio, boy, I tell you, he's really shocking me. I'm almost liking the dude. I always thought he was a neocon lunatic and a warmonger. And boy, I tell you, he looks like he's doing a good job for Trump. I'm just shocked. I really thought when he put that RINO in there, you know, because I look at Rubio as a RINO, maybe not in the category of Cotton or McConnell, but still, he's voted on some things that I would have wanted him to vote against. But anyway, right now he's over and I don't even understand why, but they're having their first meeting with the Russians tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. Why Saudi Arabia of all places? And I guess, what do they call the leader of Saudi Arabia? Anyway, I guess he's going to be there mediating. And so Rubio's there. Lavrov is, boy, I tell you, Rubio's got his hands full of Lavrov. Lavrov is one smart dude. But I guess they're just going to start talking and we'll see if anything good comes out of it. Boy, I tell you, Europe is having an epileptic seizure. Boy, if you get onto YouTube, man, you can watch some of these channels. Europe is having a heart attack. Oh my God. And especially when, and you know what, now, after that CBS story where they were, saying they, for liking a post, they're taking away people's cell phones and stuff, I'm real proud of Vance for chastising Germany or Europe for their lack of free speech. In fact, they're fighting against free speech. So I applaud J.D. Vance for making that and putting Europe in their place. And boy, they're having an epileptic seizure there. In fact, last I heard, Macron has called an emergency meeting in France, and I guess some of the European leaders are going there. Who knows what's going to come out of that? But anyway, this was a video of Marco Rubio. I'll read it to you. Marco Rubio was brilliant in his response. Margaret Brennan with CBS just blamed the Holocaust on free speech. She said this while trying to take a shot at J.D. Vance's speech in Munich, Germany. Now, some people were defending her. I think this was a setup, man. This, you know how you can ask a question and you're trying to make it loaded so that you can get a certain type of response. But look at how Rubio responded. Let's watch that video.
Well, he was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history. I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe, and that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us. So again, at the end of the day, I think that people give that is a forum in which you're supposed to be inviting people to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing. That's not always going to be the case when it's a collection of democracies where leaders have the right and the privilege to speak their minds in forums such as these.
Wasn't that brilliant? Man, that was just a spot-on answer, man. He put her right in her place. I loved it. And that's why I wanted to show you that video. So now we got another video. This was interesting. This is Proud Elephant. President Trump blames record-high egg prices and inflation on Joe Biden's failed presidency. Says, I've only been here 3 weeks. I've had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden. So let's watch that video.
Prices have reached an all-time high. What's your egg prices have reached an all-time high?
It was a long, before I ever got here, it was at an all-time. Remember, I've been here for 3 weeks. And when you saw the inflation numbers, I've been here for 3 weeks. I have had nothing to do with inflation. This was caused by Biden. I had 4 years of virtually no inflation. So I'm just taking over. But I'll tell you what, this country has made more progress in the last 3 weeks than it's made in the last 4 years, and we're respected again as a country. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, cool. All right, let's get to the next one. And this was Johnny Midnight. The Department of Justice officially confirmed that Biden committed treason just days after he was overthrown. Well, I like the way he put that, overthrown. Really, Biden's administration was a dictatorial, totalitarian Democrat administration that was on a warpath to destroy the United States, no matter how you look at it. It's intentionally. They wanted to destroy this country. So I hope that somehow well, let's just watch the video, but let me see. Hunter Biden was bribed by a criminal Romanian oligarch with over $3 million to influence U.S. policy through the big guy, Joe Biden. Let's watch that video.
For Hunter Biden, back in the news where the DOJ now argues a criminal oligarch paid off the first son to try and influence U.S. policy while President Biden was serving as VP. Some new documents out there, and Chad Pergram's seen them. He is live on Capitol Hill to take us through this story. What now in the chapter of Hunter Biden? Chad?
Bill, good morning. It's possible this could be the closest anyone has come to showing a transfer of money from overseas in exchange for potential influence over U.S. policy with Hunter Biden. Now, we've heard about Hunter Biden's ties to the Ukrainian energy firm Burisma. House investigators have probed that for months. But how about potential links to Romania? Now, prosecutors in Hunter Biden's tax case say he worked for Gabriel Papaviciu. He's a Romanian business magnate. Now, the allegation is that Hunter Biden and his business colleagues took $3 million in payments. Papaviciu faces a criminal investigation in Romania over a land deal. Special counsel David Weiss makes that very case in his filing in California. Weiss alleges they structured the deal for Hunter so it, quote, concealed the true nature of the work he was performing. Now, prosecutors say there were concerns about ramifications for President Biden. Papaviciu is expected to testify at Hunter Biden's tax evasion trial in Los Angeles that starts September 5th. He's charged with failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes over a 4-year period. The House's impeachment inquiry remains open. Republicans claim Hunter Biden sold his father as the brand and used the president for access. Bill?
Okay, Chad.
All right, so maybe, just maybe, we can get, because I do understand that there's finally people are questioning the legality of these pardons. Because see, a pardon is, this was another way to look at it, was a pardon is supposed to be you pardon a crime that somebody's already been convicted of. Well, what Joe Biden did with Fauci and all of his whole family and everything is he pardoned them for any crimes that are found in the future. And you see that, that's got to be, I would imagine if the Supreme Court looks at that, how can you pardon somebody for a crime they haven't been convicted of yet? When you think about it, that's one way to look at it. Even if it is the most corrupt thing I've ever heard of in my life, that Biden was, and that Democrats are all for that, man. If I was a Democrat, if Trump pardoned his whole family when he left office in 2020, I would have been like, oh man, there's something there. Trump, man, I didn't realize he was a corrupt son of a bitch. Why would he want to pardon his whole family when nobody's been convicted of anything? Right? So Democrat, they should be looking at it and go, why would Biden pardon his whole family, including the wives and the kids and everything? That whole freaking family tree was in on the grift, man. They were in on the grift. And so you would think that a Democrat would have one freaking brain cell. I mean, an amoeba must be smarter than a Democrat to look at it and say, something's fishy here. Why would Biden why would he pardon his family when, anyway, let's just keep going. All right, so we're not going to finish up here because I want to do some more posts from X, but I'm going to take a break and get back to my bench, and we'll finish up there. I'll do some readings, but this is Alex Jones on Elon buying Twitter, and I just thought this was a really good post by Alex Jones because, Elon, not only is he saving us by auditing the government, and by the way, he's working for free. You hear the Democrats going, he's in there plundering the treasury. He's making money. He's not making any money. He's working for free, man, out of his pocket. And in fact, it's costing him a lot of money because what I understand, he's brought in a lot of people that he's paying. I would imagine he's paying them. I don't know if they're working for free. I don't think they are. And he's paying. And so the government, I don't think Trump is paying these people. I think Elon's paying them all, because like 100 people, that's a lot of money, man. I know he's the richest man on earth, but so whenever you hear a Democrat saying he's making profit, no, he's costing him a hell of a lot of money to save the country. But this is how he saved the country with free speech. I just thought this was an excellent video. So let's take a break and we'll get to the reading here in just a minute.
Acquiring Twitter, now called X, was highly unusual. I usually build companies from scratch, and the reason I acquired Twitter, which is what I said at the time, which is that it was important to preserve freedom of speech in America and to the extent we are legally allowed to in the rest of the world. I felt like acquiring Twitter would be an important, productive step for the future of humanity. And even though it's really quite painful and has been very difficult, it was, I think, nonetheless important to do so.
2017, he says, I love Twitter, how much is it? Then on April 18th, Musk takes over Twitter for $44 billion. And now, where are we 2.5 years, 3 years later? In a totally different position globally, with the poison food and poison shots being exposed, being removed in live time, with the border controlled, with de-escalation of war, and with all these other tyrannical states on the back foot. Here's Elon Musk a few years ago explaining why he bought Twitter, the $44 billion or whatever it was. They said was double the value. Now it's way worth more than that. And he said it's the price of free speech. And he's fighting worldwide for populations to be able to have speech and battle corruption. What a public service. You bet I'm a cheerleader. You bet I'm thankful. What a game changer. God, thank you for Elon Musk waking up and fully getting on board Team Humanity. Thank you, Elon Musk. Here's a clip.
Acquiring Twitter, now called X, was highly unusual. I usually build companies from scratch. And the reason I acquired Twitter, which is what I said at the time, which is that it was important to preserve freedom of speech in America and to the extent we are legally allowed to in the rest of the world. I felt like acquiring Twitter would be an important, productive step for the future of humanity. And even though it's really quite painful and has been very difficult, it was, I think, nonetheless important to do so. I don't know if the same logic applies to TikTok, but so I don't acquire things just for economic reasons, and so it's not clear to me what the purpose of acquiring TikTok would be apart from economics.
And again, that's from like 4 or 5 months ago. He said the same thing 4 years ago or 3 years ago, 2 years ago. But you see it in action. He didn't just say it, he did it. And he said it's all part of getting all the components together to have enough money to launch his interplanetary operation. That's his main goal. It's all transparent. It's all on record. You know exactly what he's doing. 2017, he says, I love Twitter, how much is it? March 2022, Musk accumulates 5% stake in Twitter. March 2022, a few days later, Musk tweeted, is a new platform needed? April of 2022, Musk buys 9.2%. Then in April 2022, a few days later, the next day, Twitter CEO announces Musk as member of the board. Then April 10th, a few days later, Musk denied joining Twitter board. Then, a few days later after that, Musk offered to buy Twitter for $43 billion. Then the next day, April 15th, Twitter adopted poison pill strategy. Then, April 18th, 2 days later, Musk tweeted, love me tender, signaling a potential tender offer. Then, 6 days after that, April 24th, Twitter board held discussions with Musk. Then on April 18th, Musk takes over Twitter for $44 billion. And now, where are we 2.5 years, 3 years later? In a totally different position globally, with the poison food and poison shots being exposed, being removed in live time, with the border controlled, with de-escalation of war, and with all these other tyrannical states on the back foot.
I'll just have to stand still. Let's just go through a couple of these. Hopefully you're enjoying the view. Live Monday, DOGE updates. Massive corruption bombshell. The federal judge who blocked Trump's freezing of U.S. aid funds paid his own NGO over $100 million plus. Elon is now investigating lawfare kingpin Norm Einstein for receiving public funds. That's the first one. Johnny Midnight. Department of Justice officially confirmed that Joe Biden committed treason. Oh, we already did that one. Okay, I wanted to come down to, we're going to watch one more video here. And if I come up with anything else, we'll get into it. But it's RFK. I'm trying to find where it's at. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Well, anyway, let's just, oh, here it is. Okay, good. Promises. Newly confirmed HHS head RFK Jr. announces new vaccine damage database and congressional commission to investigate COVID crimes, putting Big Pharma squarely in the crosshairs of justice. Let's watch that video of RFK, and that'll be it. Peace out. Stay free. You know, something else popped into my head. It was, I think it was Kevin Sorbo. By the way, he's pretty active on X. And he's a good guy, man. I really like him. Of course, I loved him in the Hercules series, and of course, Xena. I wonder what Lucy Lawless. I mean, she's been great in a lot of stuff, but I have never seen her post on X or anything. I don't know where she's at these days. Anyway, but anyway, he pointed out that we've never found out anything about that guy on the golf course that was trying to shoot Trump. Now, we know what happened. By the way, they hired a private investigator, Trump did, to investigate the Butler incident. And boy, he found out a lot of stuff. That was a huge cover-up. And he's got the receipts that the FBI and the federal government worked to cover up that whole thing. So we know what happened to the evidence in the Butler case. But what happened to the guy that was on the golf course? Because I thought Florida was going to have a say in that investigation, and I just haven't heard anything. If you have a link or you know anything about it, let me know in the comments. Just curious. As I'm walking the fire break here, it's tough hiking in here. I thought of one more thing, and that's the latest. You know, I don't know if you saw, I won't show you the video, but Trump got man, I tell you what, the crowd was cheering like crazy when he was at the Daytona 500. And so the latest that the Democrats are doing is saying, you know, that cost the taxpayers $1 million for him to just go to the Daytona 500. You know, but, you know, I look at that and I say, well, what about the $30 billion plus that Biden spent bringing illegal aliens into the country? You won't hear him talk about that. I mean, the hypocrisy of the freaking Democrats is just, it knows no limits, doesn't it? They're worried about $1 million for Trump to go to the Daytona 500, which I thought was really cool. I mean, I don't know if you saw his limo went right around the track. People loved it. Versus $30 billion to bring a bunch of, and $30 billion plus. I think it might be a lot more than that. Think about it. That's almost a Marine Corps budget for a year. You know, I mean, we could have had another Marine Corps for the money they spent bringing illegal aliens into the country. Well, I guess that's what they wanted. They wanted the illegal aliens to be their private army. You know, I just say.